Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm Jamie, and I will be your host today for this exploration of what I'm referring to as the thinking body, sensing mind, a practice of non-sleep deep rest. And I wanted to give you a little overview before we drop into the practice. So about 20 years ago, I started teaching something I called embodied mindfulness, which I was thinking of as a user-friendly approach to meditation. Because I found in this high-octane, very busy world, it was very difficult for people to simply sit down and attend to their breath. So how could I involve the body and the actions of the body, particularly the inner movement of breath and awareness, allow that to occupy the mind so the body could settle? And of course, once the body settles, the mind can settle. So I'd been teaching that for many years and developing that, and it was really during the pandemic that I noticed that people needed really deep rest, really deep relaxation. So I began to feature lying on the ground, which has always been an important part of my practice, but I hadn't really devoted a specific body of work simply to being on the ground and giving over to the support of the earth and to really let gravity do its thing. One of the things, of course, when we're sitting upright or standing, we're using a lot of metabolic energy. And when we lie on the ground, we are able to become a little more formless and to yield into gravity, which requires very little muscular effort. So when you're in that place of repose, it's easier to pay attention to smaller movements, nuances of the breath. In fact, we can begin to cultivate a variety of ways to breathe, to keep deepening our sense of relaxation and our being in ourselves. So a lot of the work that I do is related to the natural world and the body as ecosystem. So I know that, for example, forest bathing is really on the scene today, and of course we know that it's really important to get out in nature. And at the same time, depending upon the conditions of our lives, we can't always get out into the wild and receive the healing balm of nature. So in a similar way, dropping into awareness of one's own nature, one's own body, is a way to do forest bathing within the inner ecosystem. So that's the way I really think of this work, of returning to our nature to discover our nature within. The very specific ways we're going to do that today, is just an introductory practice, is diversifying our breath. And one of the things we know is that when you extend the exhale, when you feature the exhale, it taps into the parasympathetic system, the relaxation response. And it's that part of our nervous system, of our autonomic nervous system, that is highlighted in this practice. Now, of course, we can just lay down, relax. That has curative power. But of course, as many of us know, sometimes laying on the ground, our minds can still be very occupied, a lot of thoughts happening. So how do we collaborate with our body to begin to diffuse the overactive mind? And by calming the mind, by bringing the body into more and more rest and accessing relaxation, then we can begin to explore a rhythm of movement and stillness that allows the body not only to relax, but to begin to shift its tension and holding patterns. So in terms of the structure of our body, we have extrinsic muscles and intrinsic muscles. And sometimes we can release tensions on the outer muscles and yet have a lot of holding on the inner muscles. So one of the great curative aspects of being in a relaxed state, working with different aspects of the breath, micro movements, self-contact, is we begin to reformulate how our structure is and how we relate to our tension and muscular tone. So that's a lot of information for now, but very basically, we are changing our breath to change our state of mind and our state of body. Receiving the support of the ground and giving over to gravity. Little by little, letting our bodies become more liquid, more fluid. So in introducing you to a bit of your own nature today, I want to highlight a few things. One, something I'm going to refer to as ordinary automatic breathing, which is simply how your body breathes itself. It's your baseline, it's your place of rest. It's what's known. Now, of course, when we begin to shape our breath in a specific way, it's new information. And so as we experiment with these different breaths, to try it on 1, 2, or 3 breath cycles, and then rest in ordinary automatic breathing. So in ordinary automatic breathing, in that rest, you can notice, how are you now? What feels different? Maybe your mind wants to wander a bit. And then you try it again. So that way, little by little, you build a new neural pathway because you kind of know, oh, how this breath operates. There it goes. I can relax into it and do it without a lot of stress and strain. So we're going to be working with an extended exhale out through the mouth in an O shape. Breathing in through the nose. So a long, sustained breath. Now that breath, depending upon the degree of force, can change. So it can be like a fountain. You know, like those spouting fountains you might see in plazas in Europe. Or it can be like fog or smoke. So depending upon the degree of force which you can change, it takes on different dynamics. So we're going to be working with the extended exhale, degrees of force, and then by adding contact, self-contact, you're able to feel how your breath moves in your body. And because our hands are like magnifying glasses, it will highlight the sensory feedback in your body that you might not notice if you didn't have your hands making contact. So contact will support the ways we begin to use our breath. And that the breathing action will take us into a rhythm of movement and stillness. And this is where the practice becomes self-directed. So I will guide you with these, and at a certain point you will find your own rhythm of movement and stillness. expressing the particular breath, or resting in ordinary breath. Meanwhile, committing to the ground, committing to gravity, will allow us to slow down a bit more, a bit more, a bit more. So, follow your own rhythm with the container I offer you. We are moving through nature together. I will point things out, and you might also discover things that are speaking to you that you want to follow. So I'm going to make a change now on the ground so I can begin to guide you in the practice.